Hi, I'm Matt, and this is going to be my Warrior Covert DT1 glove review. So before I begin, I'm trying out with the new camera and setup, so if you have any comments on it, please tell me. I think this is in Ultra HD. I'm not sure how that's going to look. I don't know if it's 60, I think it's 30 frames per second, but I wanted to try something else other than my GoPro. So if you like it or dislike it, please leave a comment, give me feedback. Anyways, so these are DT1s. These gloves are kind of strange in that this glove says 15 inch and this glove says 14 inch, but they're both actually 14 inch gloves. I think there was just a manufacturing issue on them. And I say that because I can actually feel the seams of the finger stalls pretty good in these, whereas normal 15 inch covert or QR1 gloves, I don't feel that at all. So these are 14s. I got these because I always wanted to try, and I've always wanted to keep trying tighter fitting gloves. I usually liked 4 rolls, and I just wanted to see what this was up with, why people really like the tighter fitting gloves. You see them a lot in just the NHL or with people around. And so I've been looking out for one that I would really like and try. And the Verberos I had weren't really tighter fitting, and we all know how my opinions on those are. But when it comes to these, they were pretty nice, and they were a good trial glove. I'm happy I tried them on just to get a better feel of a tighter fitting glove. I had Sherwood N10s before that were tight as well, but I had an issue with the palm, and so I couldn't really judge how great they were because I couldn't really wear them that much. Just every time with a grip stick, the palm would get in the way and it would feel really awkward, so I stopped wearing them. Now for these, I've worn them for about 6 months, but they were never a primary glove. They were always, I'd always switch out between different ones whenever, just how I was feeling. Sometimes I'd wear 4 rolls, sometimes I'd wear these. Then I got these 11K, so I'd wear these. So it was just basically me trying out Warrior and kind of seeing what the fuss was about. And that was another thing I really wanted to try as well. I hear a lot of great things about Warrior gloves and just how they're fantastic. And so I wanted to try one to see if that was the case or to try to find what the hype of it was. And I with these, I don't really see it, but I have tried out other gloves, so I understand where that hype is coming from. So just about these, or just a few things that I like about these right away is I do really like the liner, the blue liner. It says it's odor free and it protects from smell and everything like that. I'm not sure. I just think it looks really good. Warrior does a really good job with these and their yellow liner, where you see it and you exactly know what glove it is because they're pretty unique in that sense. It does feel pretty nice. It's not the softest material ever, but it does feel pretty good. And just the inside of it. Now onto the outside of the glove. I like the standard Tough Tech here. That's my preferred glove material. I don't really like this covert mesh. I'm not a huge fan of it. It works. It doesn't seem to be wearing out or anything. It looks like it's doing pretty good. It's just I'm not a huge fan of how it's kind of see-through, as you can see. And I just don't think it looks as good as the just plain nylon. I don't also really think this is a great looking glove either. I do like how there's this piece right here because it kind of looks like a fang to me, and it looks really good on the QR1s. It just, because I believe it's more, comes down here more. But I think that's a nice way to break up the glove. But I feel that the yellow over here is just a little too much, and unfortunately my camera's not far enough away so I can get a huge view of this. But I don't think these are great looking, and not just because of this colorway. I think these are one of the worst looking gloves, design wise, and it's just personal opinion. I'm a fan of these gloves, which it's not a huge difference, but there is enough of it that makes me just like these ones more. Which is strange because, yeah, like I said, they are pretty similar, but it's just the small little details. I like how this all runs through, and how I don't like how it's kind of just a Y here. But anyways, aesthetics aren't a huge issue for me with gloves, since I like how they perform and how they wear. So as to go on performance, the fit of them is pretty good for a 14. They're kind of almost, I wouldn't say big, but they fit pretty big for a 14. I should say that. Because while I can feel the stalls right here, it didn't ever really bother me, and it did on my CL55s that I had, where every time I put my hand in the glove, my fingers were on the top here, and I could really feel in here. Now I can notice that my fingers are hitting here with these gloves compared to the 15-inch, but it's not to say that this is a problem or anything with me. I can wear these gloves fine. It's all right. It's just something to note. The thing about this palm, considering we're looking at that right now, I really like the mesh gussets here. Supposedly it helps with airflow. I can't really tell, honestly. I don't play in really hot environments. I play ice hockey, not outdoors, or for roller hockey, and it's never really humid rinks, so I can't really comment if this actually cools down your hands or not. But it's a really good job on these materials. For the rest of the palm, I actually don't like it at all. I don't like this material. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but it's not really soft to the hand and it wears out pretty quickly. As you can see, this is the lower hand. So this would be with no tape or anything like that. And the fingers are kind of already pilling a bit and showing wear. Here's the thumb. And like I said, it's not a very comfortable material, and I don't understand why there's these dots here. I don't think they actually do anything. The Smart Palm, I kind of have a pretty big issue with, just because I think it's a gimmick, and not necessarily the overlay, because overlays are overlays. They're all over the place, but it's actually how it like dips over here, because I think this creates a lack of protection, which I'll get to later on. I think this is pretty interesting how there's a hole here, like a gap, because there's the way you close your hand, it closes up, and it's pretty nice in that sense. The one great thing about this Smart Palm is right here, there's a little piece of padding right here, which is nice in the sense that I have gotten, like when you try to catch a puck, and it's not the smartest thing to do, you sometimes get it right here. It's just nice to have a little extra protection there. It's nothing huge, but again, just kind of nice to have. And to show some more palm wear, this is at the very top. This is my top hand, so this would be the tape hand. Hopefully you can see all this. This is all from Tacky Mac. So I don't use regular hockey tape. I actually use Tacky Mac on all my gloves because I try to protect them and I like the feel of it. So it really doesn't wear out gloves that much. But for these Warriors, as you can see, you can grab this stuff and kind of peel it off. This is the overlay, but there's still a ton of wear on the normal material too, and it shouldn't be like that yet. I think for how much I've used this glove, which is not that much, this is quite a bit of wear. And this isn't the first time I had that issue with Warrior gloves. I had a pair of prototype remix gloves. They're Quebec Nordiques, and the palm showed a ton of wear like this, just like from a weeks of use, and that was kind of disheartening. I'm not sure if that has changed or what the meaning of that is, but that's how it is. And like I said, the palm isn't really that comfortable or soft. It's just kind of how it is. One of my main gripes about these gloves is that when you spend top of the line pricing, so $200, when you put your hand in the glove, you expect to feel like you're in a high quality product. I feel that Warrior doesn't do a good job at that at retail. I've tried on QR1s, AX1s, AX2s, QR Pros, and I find that all the gloves kind of feel like they're lacking. And not necessarily in terms of how they're built or how like protective they are, but more of just how they feel. Just for reference, I have these QLT gloves, these CCM QLTs, and when you put your hand in these, it feels wonderful. Like your hand feels it's like in a really nice place. It feels high end. All the materials feel great on the inside. You can't feel seams, stuff like that. So it's really good. But for the Warriors, and I know these are a few years old, so even then, the QR1s don't really surprise me at all or make me feel any different. But when you put your hand in it, it feels like an okay glove, but it doesn't feel like anything special. And that's kind of my issue with it is if I'm spending $200 on a pair of gloves and I put my hand in this, I'm like, that feels like $80. Because I felt other gloves of that price range, and this is kind of what it feels like. I've put on top of the line Bowers, CCM, Sherwoods, and they all feel nicer than these gloves do straight from retail. The weird thing is, the truth is that I didn't get the Warrior hype with these in the sense of everyone says they're really comfortable and really well made and really awesome gloves. I feel that Warrior really misses out on their retail market because I've tried on Lux Pro returns, Franchise Pro returns, these or QR1 Pro returns. And when you put your hands in those, the difference is night and day between the Pro stocks and these. I don't know exactly what it is, but even like the palm material just feel better. The insides just feel better. Everything just feels better put together, and it feels like a nicer glove. So I totally understand why the pros are wearing Warriors. But the difference between those gloves and these retail gloves was pretty crazy, and I'm really surprised by that. Now, it's not to say these are bad gloves. I just don't think they're top of the line gloves. I mentioned the wear issues. They're not the most comfortable gloves. Their padding is pretty good, and I'll give them that. One of the very cool features is how they do this index finger protection. Instead of just doing small, as you can see here, like small pieces that don't go all the way up, they do very large, almost like an extension of the finger. Let's see if this shows it off there. So as you can see kind of right there, it kind of looks like an extra like extension. It goes all the way over. Here's the CCMs. See how it goes up? Now personally, I think that kind of makes these gloves look, it's not super attractive, let's put it that way. But I appreciate what they're doing here in terms of protection. Like there's a little plastic piece there and the rest is foam. But if you hit this, you can't really feel anything. And that's a really good job for this. Same like a little tiny piece of plastic, but a ton of foam there. And then plastic on top and quite a bit of foam. And while I think it looks weird, and well, this doesn't look that attractive, they do good job protection right here. As well, the fingers are really well protected. The backhand's protected. The cuff is actually somewhere I have a bit of an issue with. It could be better. The thumb's good. And right here is actually the worst part of it. And I'll get to that in a second. So the cuff is kind of interesting because it has no plastics in it. You can totally bend it. Hopefully I can get in there. You can bend it in half. It's great. It has a layer underneath. There's actually a plastic, well, it feels like plastic inside here, like a plastic strip. And basically feels like it's right in there. And my issue is, while it's nice, because it's right next to your hand, when you hit this, you can really feel that plastic part kind of impacting into your hand, and it should have a little bit of a layer underneath. It's not the worst for the cuff, but I wish it was more. The reason it's foam and not plastic is so it's more flexible. And that's one thing these gloves are pretty good with, is flexibility. But because I'm talking about protection, I'm going to get to the bad part about this glove, and that's this smart palm. Now, the way that Warrior does this, and it's to make it, they're more of a contact surface for your sticks so you don't get caught up on any seams. As you can see, that comes here, then same here, right? There's this liner here and everything like that. So the idea is that this way you have more palm and you don't have any like seams to get interference with. Now the problem is the padding right here is just a small piece of foam, and it's thinner than any glove, well, any of these gloves and any of the top of the line gloves, I would say. Now the other problem is that's a really, really tiny piece of foam. That's a really tiny piece of foam. That's a really tiny piece of foam. Now I get why they did that, because when you close it, it kind of closes all up on itself. But other gloves have done bigger pieces, bigger piece, and bigger piece, and you have no issue closing the gloves. As you can see, there's no difference in closing that, but this one's actually protected and this one isn't. Now my issue with these is that when you get, like sometimes you get sticks riding up your gloves and hitting right here, and that really, really hurts. So let me just adjust this a little bit. And that really hurts. And this foam right here doesn't do a good enough job of protecting your outside of your hand there. And the other issue is, well, these don't really do anything. And because this is so open and not like a seam right here with padding, every time I go like this and try to hit it, if I miss that piece of foam, it hits my skin the majority of the time. So if it actually gets in there, you're hitting the side of my hand and it really hurts. Now that kind of seems like an odd thing for me to complain about, that if I miss this, it hurts. But when you're wearing a glove like this, which has a big piece of foam, or even better is these CCMs, which is a huge, like a piece of plastic and then foam. When you miss, it generally doesn't hit your palm. And it won't always hit this when you're holding a glove. Sometimes it slips through, and that's really good. That will generally not hit your palm flush. With these, every time you do, it hits your palm because your palm is right there. There's nothing else for you to hit unless you go this way, which is fine. It'll happen on all the gloves. But here, if I hit here, it's hand. Even here is hand, and it's still going to hurt. And that's a big gripe I have with this, is basically this whole side of your hand is kind of useless in terms of protection. Now, sorry about that. This is me trying to work with a new camera, so I apologize. Now, I'm going to do the glove stick test really quick just to show you how it is. Again, sorry about the jumping around. It just the fingers are really good. Can't really feel anything. They do a really good job with this bone system, I think it's called, where the plastic's actually ridged higher. Like the plastic's flat and goes up and then comes down. You can kind of see it right here. They did a really good job in that and how this works. So good job for that, just to do some more. It's loud, but like I said, you can't really feel it. It's really good. So backhand, you can't feel it. This is one of the better backhands too. All these plastics are the bones. It's really, really good job. Okay, so we'll do inner thumb. And I can feel a little bit, but nothing bad at all. Now we'll do just this part first. So I can feel this a little bit, but it's not too bad. And you can always kind of feel thumb just the way they're built. I don't have any issues with this. It's pretty good. It doesn't have a flex thumb, but it is kind of flexible still. It's not bad. It doesn't really have much hyperextension protection, but it is what it is. So the actual thumb piece, you can't really feel at all. It's a really good job there. So all this is really good. And actually, we're going to do this piece right here. So this one you can kind of feel, and you can kind of feel it a bit. And that's understandable with how it is on the side. I'm not upset about that. I wouldn't dock it points for it. This does a pretty good job protecting your hand. And like I said, that's all good for me. Now we're going to get to the cuff. I'm not going to do up here because I'm going to miss just a little added part. And it doesn't, let's be real, this isn't what's going to protect you. Sometimes I'll do this on the other gloves. They're longer, but this one's not. So, all right. Sorry, it's hard to hit because I have the lights. But yeah, that really hurts. Like I can feel that straight through. It's not as bad as some other gloves I've used, and check my reviews for those. You'll know which one it is. So it's not as bad as that, but it's still pretty bad. Like that shock is going right into my wrist and is really uncomfortable. And I have to knock them points for that because it's not that good. And then, like I said over here, I kind of did this before. Let's do a little bit, and I'll try to show it against another glove. Is every time you get whacked there, I can feel every one of those, and it's not very pleasant, especially when you miss. So, as opposed to where I felt a couple there because I missed, but like you can hit right in your hand is pretty good. So, but right there is when you have problems. And one more, just for more comparisons. So there's one in there that hurt because I really missed it and got in there, and the rest were pretty good. It's harder to hit this, and that kind of means it'll be harder to hit in real life too, right? But with the Warriors, it will hit it more often and frequently, and that's my issue with them. So just to summarize these, actually, one thing I didn't talk about is the mobility, so I will talk about that really quick. Out of the box, these still aren't broken in. They're pretty mobile gloves. They have triple segmented index finger and then double everywhere else, but I'm okay with that. I've had issues where these have been triple segmented just with how my fingers are, and so I'm okay with just this one being triple or this one being triple. It makes no difference. As you can see, the hand closure is pretty good. No issues there. It kind of feels broken in the moment you get it. It's not bad. Wrist mobility is pretty good coming down. Upper, you got some stoppage, but not a ton. And you can always break it in and bend it around a bit, but these haven't really been done that yet. Yeah, thumb, as you can see, it's not a flex thumb or anything, but it's not horrible. I have no real complaints. The glove closes are pretty, like the flex on the sides, if I can get this, isn't bad at all. So it kind of closes in together when you squeeze your fingers together. So it's not bad. I wouldn't, like these don't really need a ton of breaking in. They feel pretty good out of the box. I know a lot of glove companies are going to look at that now, or sorry, are trying to make that now because people don't want to break in their gloves. But I feel Warrior did a pretty good job with that here. My summary of these gloves is basically they're good, but they're not good enough. I think for a top of the line glove, you should expect more. That's pretty much the summary is it's good. It's not comfortable compared to as comfortable as other high-end gloves. The protection's okay, but it's lacking in some areas. I think the Smart Palm is a gimmick that isn't necessary. I don't recall a time ever having that little piece of nylon there getting in the way of a glove. So I think that's a gimmick. The protection's really good on this part of the glove, kind of lacking in the cuff. The design, in my opinion, is not the greatest, but again, design's not really important in these. The liner's pretty good. I like how it looks. It's not the most comfortable ever, but I would honestly, I let that pass. It's nice and smooth, but it's just not as soft as some other gloves. So I don't think these are worth the 200 and something they sell for now, or the 180 they sell for. I think $80 would be a good price for them. And yeah, that's just it. They're not the best, but they're okay. If I was looking at a pair of gloves right now, I wouldn't buy them. Not the price that they sell at. QRLs have some crazy cuff that's kind of like this, but it's like a flex cuff. But I'm not exactly sure how it works. Maybe that is a big difference. But in terms of this, I wouldn't buy these. They do have a customizer, which is nice. You can order a custom pair of gloves, which you can't do for other brands. But even then, they shut down a lot of options on that. So it is what it is. So hopefully this was kind of informative. I know it's an older glove, but I figured I'd use them. I'd talk about it anyways because I feel that this is pretty close to what the QR1s are too. The QR1s do have a flex thumb on there, which is better. So I'm not a fan of the durability of the palm. The outside durability is fine. Mobility is pretty good. Fit's pretty good. These do fit pretty kind of bigger than normal gloves in terms of length because normally I don't fit 14s and these are pretty fine. So that's about it. Hopefully you liked it. If you have any comments, please leave it below and check out my channel for more videos. I love feedback, so yes, tell me what you like, what you don't like. Tell me how the camera is. There should be another video coming out with this camera shortly as well. So check that one out. And if you hate it, tell me and I'll go back to the GoPro. All right, thanks.